Welcome back again. It's March 28th and we're doing Joshua 19 through 21. Today we pick up where we left off yesterday, and this is part 2 of the allotment of the lands and the tribes of Israel. If you didn't see yesterday's video, you may want to go back and watch so that you can get caught up. The last map we looked at yesterday showed the allocations of the lands on the east side of the Jordan to Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh, and the land that was given by Moses. And on the west side of the Jordan, we have Judah, Ephraim, West Manasseh, and Benjamin. These were the lands that were given by Joshua. Well, also, we saw a special allotment provided for Caleb. I guess faithfulness from Egypt all the way to the Promised Land has its rewards. Remember, in chapter 18, Joshua sent out men to survey the land, the remaining land that was out there, and to come back with a detailed description to provide a means of dividing up the land between the remaining tribes. Now, you may have thought, like I did, that all of these location names were just very tedious to read through and hard to pronounce. They used landmarks, cities, waterways, and boundaries like that to define areas back in those days. That brings us to the next allotment, which was Simeon. And you should notice something about this that stands out. Judah's allotment was huge, and I believe this goes back to Genesis 49 and Jacob's blessing that the scepter would not pass from Judah, defining a place of prominence amongst all of his brothers. And so he has a big chunk of land. Notice that Simeon received the second lot, which falls within Judah. It was not separately distinct, an area like the rest of the allotments, and most of the maps don't even distinguish them as separate, but show Judah and Simeon together. Again, in Genesis 49, Jacob's blessing to Simeon and Levi sounds more like a warning or a prophecy than it does a blessing. This is because of their vengeance against Shechem when their sister was violated. Also, Moses in Deuteronomy 33 completely omitted Simeon from the blessings that he bestowed on the rest of the tribes. And Jacob also stated that Simeon and Levi would be scattered and divided among all of Israel. Now, Simeon does not get an independent region to occupy, and the Levites, their inheritance is to serve God and cities and pasture lands spread out all over Israel. We'll see that in a minute. The third lot fell to Zebulun. Mostly we read about the borders and descriptions, and you'll notice it kind of looks like a foot standing on top of West Manasseh. The fourth lot fell to Issachar, and it shows up in red on the map just north of West Manasseh and under the heel of Zebulun, pictorially, of course. The fifth lot, well, that went to Asher, and it runs along the coast up into modern-day Lebanon. And the sixth lot, that belongs to Naphtali, and it shows up in the green between Asher and East Manasseh, and it continues on up into Lebanon. And the seventh and final lot, that went to Dan, along the coast between Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and West Manasseh. Then we get to a second special allotment, which was for Joshua in the hill country of Ephraim. Now he received a city, Timnah-Serah, and its surrounding area, but it didn't show up on any of the maps that I could find. But the red dot indicates approximately where the hill country is in Ephraim. Now in chapter 20, Joshua designates 3 more cities of refuge on the west side of the Jordan. Now these were places that persons could go and flee if they had killed someone unintentionally and to escape from the avenger of blood. Moses had done the same thing already, and he had designated 3 cities on the east side for the tribes that resided on the east. Now, I know you wanted me to mark all the cities down, and that would just make the map too busy and too messy. So you'll need to research those on your own. And if you want more details on the refuge cities, it has already been covered several times in the books of Leviticus and Numbers. So we don't need to go into more detail here. In chapter 21, we finally get to the Levites. Now, God set them apart as priests, and the sons of Aaron became the heads of the clans of Levi, the Kohathites, the Gershonites, and the Merarites. God told Moses they would not have an inheritance in the land because God was their inheritance. But they did receive cities and pasture lands throughout all of Israel. And after all the allotments were made and the people took possession of the land, we see that God gave them rest on every side, just as he promised their fathers. And my favorite part of this whole section is found in 22:45. Not one word of all the good promises that the Lord made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass. Well, friends, that's where we're going to end today. Come back tomorrow for the conclusion of the book of Joshua. Have a blessed day, my friends.